A great pleasure to be here for a first time in Dwarka and get the association of all of you. Some of you are from different parts, but in any case, this is one wonderful place where Krishna executed the greater part of his pastimes, time-wise, speaking time-wise. Of course, for Krishna, there's no time. And I was mentioning to Devotee Nanda Prabhu that I tried to come here many times, but somehow or another it never happened. So I guess Krishna wanted me to come at this particular time when I could get his association and all of your association also. Lord Chaitanya Prabhu and other devotees. So I chose actually, I was thinking of speaking of one particular pastime, but I thought I would speak about this particular verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, because it's so important in conducting our spiritual life, how we avoid offenses against the Vaishnavas and against the Lord. So this is from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 15, text. I'm going to read text 261, and then I will put it into context, and then it will have more meaning. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gauda Bhakta Vrinda. So again, Madhya Lila, chapter 15, 261. Those of you who have electronic shastra can read along. I was just mentioning the other day that we have all these shastras in our cell phone. We should keep our cell phone on the altar. And that way there will be no Gramya-katha. Chaitanya Gosanya Ninda Shunila Yatta Hate Tari Vada Koila Haya Papa Prayaschitte Chaitanya Gosanira Nidya Shunila Yaha Hete Tara Vada Koile Haya Papa Prayaschitte Chaitanya Gosanira Ninda Shunila Yaha Hete Tare Vada Kaile Haya Papa Prayaschitte. Anyone else want to chant the verse? Chaitanya Gosanira Ninda Shunila Yaha Hete Tare Vada Kaila Haya Papa Prayaschitte. Chaitanya Gosanira Ninda Shunila Yaha Hete Tare Vada Kaila Papa Prayaschitte. Vaishnavi. Okay. Chaitanya Gosainira of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ninda, blasphemy. Shunila, I have heard. Yahaite, from whom? Tare bhada kaile, if he is killed. Haya, there is. Papa prayashtite, atonement for the sinful act. If the man who blasphemed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is killed, his sinful action may be atoned. Please repeat. If the man who blasphemed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is killed, his sinful action may be atoned. Sounds a little severe. Certainly wouldn't fit into most modern legal systems, but it's very expedient. Just like Omagyanatimirandasya Garanjana Sharakaya Chakshu Rumilitam Minatasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityananda Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Bhaskati Sudari Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama. Srila Prabhupada said that when the Muslims were conquering different parts of India, they would put a knife to the throat of the Hindus and say, "Do you believe in Allah?" And they would say, "Yes." Prabhupada said, very effective method of conversion. Anyway, but of course we don't do that. We use the knife, shalakaya, the knife of sharp words. There's one beautiful verse. Maybe I can just read it. It's a very beautiful verse. Just before we dive into this, from Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 26th chapter. Text 26. Very beautiful verse about Tato dusangam utsreja satsu sajjata buddhiman sante evasya chindanti manovyasangam uktivi. An intelligent person should therefore reject all bad association and instead take up the association of saintly devotees whose words cut off the excessive attachment of one's mind. So, Srila Prabhupada on various occasions, he would mix this verse with another verse, and to explain Tadvidi Pranipattena Pariprasnena Sevaya. He said, I always repeat this, I just found it very interesting. He said that first there must be pranipatta, there must be submissive attitude, humble attitude. And then sevaya, there must be service. And then there can be prashna. Because otherwise, people will ask so many questions. But if you do service, then you know what question to ask. Otherwise, all other questions have to do with this material world. They're useless. Prabhupada said, don't waste the time of the spiritual master. And then he said, it is the spiritual master's duty, and he would quote the last line of this verse, sometimes a little different than it is here. Spiritual master's duty is to cut away with the sharp words of Shastra, cut away the unnecessary attachment to this world. So, this is our movement. Srila Prabhupada said many times that Krishna consciousness, the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, sometimes may be a little difficult to assimilate because, it's the whole Bhagavatam begins that paramo nimatsaranam satam, that first you must be a paramahansa. To read this Bhagavatam, to understand this Bhagavatam, you must be a paramahansa. You must be free from envy. So most of us would just close it and say, all right, back to material life. But Krishna consciousness descends. It descends upon us. And it is the mercy. So the two fingers that were missing in tying the rope around Damodar revealed this. First, the Lord's mercy comes upon us. Sometimes we're begging Krishna for mercy, but the mercy is already there. We should be begging Krishna, please give me the intelligence to accept your mercy. Just like we're doing this marathon, Prabhupada marathon. We say Prabhupada marathon. In the West, they call it Christmas marathon because at Christmas time, people have more money. That's how it all started. Devotees were distributing books. They just started distributing books. And then there came December, and they were distributing, and then all of a sudden people were taking more books. Oh, because they have money. So they came to Prabhupada and he said, yes, you do this. Every year you can do this. So that's how it started. And then of course when it became worldwide, you can't say Christmas marathon in all places because maybe you can say that in Kerala, or some places in Andhra, but here it would make no sense. We would have to call it Diwali marathon or something. So, but the point is that we're surrounded by Krishna's mercy. We've been drowned in Krishna's mercy. By the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, by the mercy of the Vaishnavas, by the mercy of the Purvacharyas, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami. There's so much mercy, we don't know what to do with it. And therefore we must distribute it. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said in the beginning of Chaitanya Charitamrita. He says that I'm a gardener and there's so many fruits of love of God. How can I possibly distribute them all? Of course he can distribute them all. Of course he can. But he wants us to take the credit. This is Krishna. Krishna, because he doesn't need credit. He's the most famous person. What credit does he need? I always make the point, even the atheists are talking about Krishna, God. They're always talking about God, trying to disprove him. I met one atheist one time. I could have said that. I said, you say God more than I do. So I said, indirectly, you're glorifying God. Just like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur always points out, when some demon is blaspheming Krishna, he's actually glorifying Krishna. Because Srila Prabhupada used to say that anything that is said about Krishna, if the name Krishna is there, then it's a success. So even when they criticize Krishna, we're talking about a different instance here. The criticism. So, but if you criticize Krishna, if we criticize Krishna, or anyone who understands who is Krishna, or who are the devotees of Krishna, then it becomes very, very serious. So this is the purport. In Hari Bhakti Vilas, the Hari Bhakti Vilas cites the following quotation from the Skanda Purana concerning the blasphemy of a Vaishnava. I won't read all the verses, just the last one, because the last one is very important. Hanti nindati vaidveshni Vaishnavan nandati kudyate yati no harsham darshane patanani shat. But I'll read the whole thing. In the conversation between Markandeya and Bhagirath, it is said, "My dear king, one who derides an exalted devotee loses the results of his pious activities, his opulence, his reputation, and his sons. Vaishnavas are all great souls. Whoever blasphemes them falls down to a hell known as Maharodava, accompanied by his forefathers." So this is very serious. If you blaspheme a devotee, you actually cause suffering to others. Just like when Nityananda Prabhu came to the house of, what was his name? The landowner who sent the prostitute to disturb Haridas Thakur. What was his name? I can't remember his name. Huh? Yes, Ramachandra. So Nityananda Prabhu went to his home. He sat in the mandap to purify him. And his devotees gathered. And Ramachandra Khan sent one of his servants and said, "You have so many people here. You should take them. Your purpose will be better served if you take them to a barn, a place for animals." And Nityananda said, "You are right. This place is not suitable for us. This place is not suitable for any civilized person." And he left. Then the next day, the Mohammed tax collector came, and he accused Ramachandra Khan of having not paid taxes. So he killed one of his cows, and he cooked it right on the because Ramachandra Khan had his servant dig up the dirt where Lord Nityananda was sitting and throw it out. And so he killed the cow and cooked it right there in that spot. And then and they took all of his money away, took all of his property away. And the whole village was ruined. And people all got sick and ill with cholera. And Srila Prabhupada quotes that if we blaspheme someone, then not only do we suffer, but our forefathers and family members and our whole village can suffer. And then, if you cause that to happen, just imagine, first of all, you blaspheme a Vaishnava. Then you're responsible for so many other people. Some of them are Vaishnavas. They're also suffering. So, this is how serious it is. And so, then, whoever kills, this is the last verse, Hanti Ninanti Nadreshi. Whoever kills or blasphemes a Vaishnava, kills is explained in another place, meaning whoever kills the spirit of a Vaishnava by excessive, not you physically kill them. Obviously, that would not be very acceptable in anywhere. Or blaspheme Vaishnava, or dveshi, or you're envious of a Vaishnava, or Vaishnavan Navinandati, or you don't offer obeisances to a Vaishnava, or Kudyate Yati, and you become angry at a Vaishnava, or Nodarshanam. If you're not happy to see a Vaishnava, when you see one, you should be happy. Even if you don't particularly care for that Vaishnava, you should be happy because this person has awakened Krishna's presence in his heart. Meaning, it's not just Paramatma, because he's chanting the holy name. And therefore, you should be happy to see it. So these things are all, one, or feel joy upon seeing it certainly falls into a hellish condition. Also in Hari Bhakti Vilas 10.314, the Hari Bhakti Vilas gives the following quotation from Dwarka Mahatmya. Oh, here we are in Dwarka. In the conversation between Prahlad Maharaj and Bali Maharaj, it is said, those sinful people who blaspheme Vaishnavas, who are all great souls, are subjected very severely to the punishment offered by Yamaraj. In his Bhakti Sandarbha 313, Jiva Goswami quotes this statement concerning the blasphemy of Lord Vishnu. And I won't read the long Sanskrit here. One who criticizes Lord Vishnu and his devotees loses all the benefits accrued in 100 pious births. Such a person rots in the Kumbhipaka hell and is bitten by worms as long as the sun and moon exist. Pretty long time. One should therefore not even see the face of a person who blasphemes Lord Vishnu and his devotees. Never try to associate with such persons. And then, in Bhakti Sandarbha 265, Jiva Goswami further quotes from Srimad Bhagavatam 1074:40. Nindam Bhagavata Shrinvam Tatparasya Janasya Va Tato Napaiti Yasopi Yatyada Sukritachchuta. If one does not immediately leave upon hearing the Lord or the Lord's devotees blaspheme, he falls down from devotional service. And we have that instance when Sri Haridas Thakur after he was whipped in 22 marketplaces. And then the people who were torturing him, they said, will you please die? No. Just like Prahlad Maharaj, they were torturing him, and he was chanting. And they were also asking him, please die, because otherwise Hiranyakashipu would kill us. But of course that didn't happen. And so then Haridas said, oh, I'm sorry. He said, because if you don't die, they will kill us. He said, oh, I'm very sorry, so I'll die. And he went into such a deep samadhi that the Lord entered his heart. I mean, in a special way, the Lord entered his heart. And then immediately the Nawab, he felt very bad. He knew this whole thing was bad. He was that kind of a pious man. He said, bury him. But the Qazi said, no, don't bury him. That means he'll get some pious credit. We only bury Muslims. Throw him into his so-called sacred river. And they couldn't move him. They couldn't move his body. Dozens of people tried to move him. Because when the Lord entered his heart, all the three worlds are contained within the Lord. And the weight of the three worlds was within Haridas. And then he just rolled into the Ganga. So he went down, floated down river, chanting the holy name, and he got out. And the Brahmins in Pulia, where he got out, the Brahmins were, who knows what will happen to this Muslim king? For doing this to a devotee like yourself? And Haridas said, no. I got very light punishment. I heard blasphemy against the Lord. I should have been punished so severely, but I was just whipped in 22 marketplaces only. So this is the same thing as this verse. And he quoted this verse from Bhagavatam. Similarly, Lord Shiva's wife Sati states in Srimad Bhagavatam, I won't read the Sanskrit, if one hears an irresponsible person blaspheme the master and controller of religion, he should block his ears and go away if unable to punish him. But if one is able to kill, then one should by force cut out the blasphemer's tongue and kill the offender, and after that he should give up his own life. Again, this is a little severe. just like Jayananda Prabhu, when he would hear some devotee criticizing, he would do one of two things. If it was a kind of a nice devotee who had he felt he had a good standard, he would say, Prabhu, you are a very advanced devotee. And he meant this. I spoke to him, but he meant this. You're a very qualified devotee. You can hear these things, but I am not so qualified. So I can't hear these things. So please reveal it to others. But if the person was criticizing in a malicious way, he would just cover his ears and go, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And, but he would smile at the devotee. He wouldn't try to make fun. He would say, Hare Krishna, I can't hear this. But he was so sincere. If we do that, somebody would say, oh, who do you think you are? No. But he was so sincere that devotees would immediately realize that, oh, we're committing a great offense. So, this past time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was invited to the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And when he arrived, Sarvabhauma had this huge feast. And Mahaprabhu said, I'm a sannyasi. I mean, this is shortly after, we hadn't known Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya for so long. And he said, I can't eat all of this. And Sarvabhauma said, my dear Lord, in Dwarka, you have 16,000 wives, and they're all cooking for you. In Jagannath Puri, you eat 56 times a day. And in Dwarka, you have 18 mothers who are always feeding you. And then he said, and everywhere, all your devotees all over the universe, in unlimited universes, are all offering you. So please don't tell me that. Just sit down and eat. And so Lord Chaitanya accepted. And then Amoga, who was very, Sarvabhauma's son, he was a very critical person. We've met people like this. They love to criticize. Now that social media gives them such a big audience. Before they would just have to criticize one-on-one. Now they can criticize to thousands of people. They become so blissful. And so these kinds of people are very difficult. We all have experience. And so Amoga, he wanted to he just always criticizing. But Sarvabhauma was standing with a stick in his hand at the doorway to not let him in, because he knew the nature of Amoga. But then the Lord needed something, so he went to serve him. Amoga slipped in the room, and he said, just see, what kind of sannyasi is this? This is enough food for 10 people. So immediately Sarvabhauma took his stick and ran after him. He was going to beat him. And then Chaitanya, then he couldn't catch him because Amoga was a young man. He ran away. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sarvabhauma came back in. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was laughing. He said, why are you trying to punish him? He's right. How can I eat so much? This is enough for 10 people. I remember when I first, one of the first assignments I had in Latin America, I didn't know Spanish very well at that time. I knew a few words. And so I went to someone's house, and they contacted some devotees. How do we serve an older devotee? So you offer him a big plate of prasadam. So they put this big plate. They had a young son, and he came up and he looked and he said, "You eat a lot, no? And you speak like a crazy man." And the father wanted to chastise him. No, he said, no, he's a young boy. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when the Brahmin came to offer food to his Gopal deity, his Shalagram, Gopal Shalagram, to the house of Jagannath Mishra, he said, I've been eating roots and fruits. Always, my deity only eats roots and fruits. I'm happy to eat roots and fruits. I think this is very opulent for me. But my deity, he should get a nice meal. Can I cook some rice? And Jagannath Mishra welcomed him. So grateful that he'd come. Just like when Gargamuni came to the house of Nanda Maharaj. This is Nanda Maharaj, the father of Krishna. He said, how fortunate I am that you have come to bless my home. This is culture. But you're all very fortunate. You have this culture. In the West, you come to somebody's house and say, yeah, you can sit down. Sit down. But you have this culture. Very fortunate. And so then, for Chaitanya, then he cooked, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came 3 times. He came and he ate the offering. And his father wanted to chastise him. But Jagannath Mishra said, no, you can't chastise him. He's a young boy. And so finally on the 3rd time, the Brahmin was so frustrated. He said, why do you keep eating my offering? And Nimai said, why do you keep calling me? If you call me to eat, and then you get angry that I'm eating the offering. And then he transformed into Krishna with 8 arms. And then he had 6 arms. And then he had 4 arms. And then he had 2 arms. And he said, well, you were my devotee, birth after birth. And always you are you are taking care of your rice. And then I am eating it. And so, and this is our pastime. And then the Brahmin said, oh, I must tell this to everyone, who you are. And Nimai said, no, you can't reveal it to anyone. Otherwise, I will kill you. So sometimes the Lord, of course, the Lord would never kill such a devotee. But the point is that, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was laughing. And then he said, you should not take this so seriously. But he made a big point out of the whole issue. And so then, Sarvabhauma was totally disturbed. Sati, his wife, said, may my daughter become a widow. And he said, yes. And Sarvabhauma said, yes. Hopefully we can kill him. Or I can kill myself. He said, but neither one would be good, because it's not good to kill a Brahmin. No. He said, I'm frustrated, what can I do? There's no solution. No. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just smiled. So he left. And then still every day Sarvabhauma was suffering. And then he heard that Amoga had caught cholera and was on his deathbed. And he smiled and said, finally, justice is being done. And he has blasphemed the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard that this happened to Amoga. He ran to Amoga and he put his hand on Amoga's chest. And he said, my dear boy, your heart is the sitting place of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You have to keep your heart pure. So he said, just the same as Krishna said to Arjuna, how have you allowed these dirty things to come into your heart? This is the place, the dwelling place. This is the temple of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hriday Mandir. This is a place, and of course in chapter 12 of Madhya Lila, one very famous verse with a long purport, and Srila Prabhupada explains Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's long explanation of this verse, where he says that the heart is such a sacred place, and we have to sweep every day, just as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was cleaning the Gundicha Mandir. And Srila Prabhupada quoted this one time, this particular pastime. He walked in the temple and he found the temple was not so clean. And he said, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cleaned the mandir until there wasn't a speck of dirt. You have to clean the temple like this. The temple should be like this. Temple should be so clean that you can eat off of the floor. And then in Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada said that if you clean the floor of this temple, just like he said, here is Krishna Balaram, black and white marble, and here on the floor, black and white marble. Same thing. This, cleaning this floor is like cleansing the body of the Lord. So, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Mandira Marjanado. It's the duty of the spiritual master to teach the disciples to cleanse the mandir. But actually, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was not just speaking about the mandir, but speaking about the mandir of the heart. So, Srila Prabhupada explains in that beautiful purport, Shinvatam Svakata Krishna Punya Shabani Kirtanam, that one should daily cleanse the heart with the holy name of the Lord by hearing and chanting. So that's what we do. We do these things because this is how we maintain our Krishna consciousness. And this is so important. That's why it's so important for all of us every day to hear Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada, the first thing that he wrote in ISKCON was, he wrote this little piece of paper, and it had the 4 regulative principles, and then it had the schedule. And Prabhupada said, every morning you must hear Srimad Bhagavatam, and every evening you must hear Bhagavad Gita. And when I was a brahmachari, we would, after, when the time came, like about 8 o'clock in the evening, we would all sit together and have a glass of milk, and someone would read Krishna book for like 45 minutes. And we would have like, some of us would drink like half a liter of milk. It's a long pastime. So, and, but anyway, point is that this is our sankalpa. If we hear about Krishna before we take rest, then we will want to chant His holy name. If we're on Facebook or Twitter or X or whatever else there is, Instagram, what is it? Instagram. If we're on doing this at night, then the first thing you'll think of, what happened to so-and-so? What happened? What is Elon Musk doing? So we have to be very, very diligent that we take care and take care of our heart very carefully. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, let the holy name enter into your heart. Just chant the holy name. And Amoga jumped up and began to chant the holy name in ecstasy. And he became a prema bhakta, just by the touch of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the point that I wanted to make is that this mercy, which is drowning us, we have to allow it to come into our heart. The mercy of Krishna. And then the way you allow it is the other finger. One finger is the mercy of the Lord, and the other is the endeavor of the devotee. From that mercy, we endeavor to please Krishna. we endeavor to please the Lord, and we endeavor in this marathon to please Srila Prabhupada. Because he's giving us this mercy. The mercy that he's giving us is that we are getting the opportunity to participate in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Lila. Just we can't participate in Krishna's Lila very easily. If you want to participate in Krishna's Lila, you have to be on the platform of Raga Bhakti and very deeply absorbed in Bhava Bhakti or Prema Bhakti to enter into those pastimes. We can enter into them intellectually. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so merciful that he's allowing his Leela to go on. He wanted that. Therefore he said, I'm the gardener, and I order everyone within the universe. Ateva ami agya dilun sabakare jahan tahan premapala deha jari tari. I order everyone within the universe, you must distribute these fruits of love of God. And they have manifested in the form of Srila Prabhupada's books. We must distribute them. Just like we've all seen on going around, know that even Modi is distributing Bhagavad Gita to Putin. So Srila Prabhupada is so merciful that he allows the Prime Minister of India to do Sankirtan to the President of Russia. No. So, very special. Very special. This is how merciful Srila Prabhupada is. And this all happened because the devotees in Russia, every once in a while the government gives them some difficulty. So the devotees informed Modi, because he told the devotees 6 years ago, if there's ever a problem with Russia, you can tell me. So they said, there's a problem. And so Putin was coming, and he took that opportunity to give him Bhagavad Gita. And I don't know, we don't know what he said afterwards, but he must have mentioned that, please, these devotees are preaching this wonderful philosophy. Please help them. Please don't allow the government. Let's see the result. But the fact that he has touched Bhagavad Gita, just the touching the Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada said, if you read Bhagavad Gita, you get unlimited benefit. No? Even if you read one page, you get so much benefit. And then Prabhupada said, even if you touch Bhagavad Gita, or even if you see Bhagavad Gita, and then Prabhupada said, even if you have Bhagavad Gita in your home and you don't even know it. Just like my brother-in-law, he used to always chide me or make fun of me for being a devotee. And he would when I would visit him, because at that time the temple in Houston was not very nice, and there wasn't very much room, so I would stay with him. He lived near the temple, and then he would say, "Let's go run. I'm older than you, but I can run faster than you." And he was always trying to show he was better. But then one day I came and he just started talking so nicely. It was just completely changed. So what happened? And then I just was thinking what happened. I looked up and I saw on a shelf there was Bhagavad Gita. So I called him and said, "You have this book?" "Yeah, I don't remember how I got it. I think someone gave it to me in the airport." "Have you read it?" "No, I just put it there." So just by having Bhagavad Gita in his home, he totally changed. From that point on, just having Bhagavad Gita in his home, I don't think he ever read it. He was very nice. "So how is your temple?" And he was so nice. He became so transformed that one day there was one devotee, Siddhavidya Prabhu. He would go alone and do Harinam every day downtown. So he was doing Harinam on the corner below my brother-in-law's office. And some, nasty people, some gundas kind of started bothering him. And he was a lawyer. So he ran downstairs with two other lawyers who had met me, and they ran down. They started fighting with the gundas, beating them, and they're in their suit and everything, and they ran away, and they looked at the devotee and said, "Hare Krishna." All that just because he had Bhagavad Gita in his home. And so this is the power of these books. So powerful. So we should be very, even if it's a little difficult to go out and distribute books, but we should do it. Just like Lord Chaitanya Prabhu mentioned that, doing some Harinam and some book distribution here in the main temple, and people taking books and chanting and dancing. So this is the movement of Chaitanya. This is what Mahaprabhu did. And in Nakula Brahmachari and in the Sringha Brahmachari, the Lord appeared, personally appeared, and in different ways. And so Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if we actually allow him to enter into our hearts, Chaitanya Nityananda, and I will conclude with this. Srila Prabhupada was giving a lecture one day in Los Angeles. Devotees, many devotees were there. He said, "So please, I request you, please take these books and distribute them for the benefit of society." And then Prabhupada said, "Here is Gaurnitai. Do not leave them in the temple." Prabhupada said, "They don't want to stay in the temple. Take them in your heart and take them out on Sankirtan." So, Srila Prabhupada, so telling us what is the essence of Sankirtan. You have to have Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu in your heart. And, you have to beg them. And so this is Chaitanya Lila. We have the opportunity to keep this Chaitanya Lila going, at least for the next 10,000 years. Of course, we won't be around, hopefully. In one other, just an extra conclusion, one other class Prabhupada was giving, he started describing Kali Yuga. And he said, the people, Prabhupada was on the Vyasa, and he said, people will only be this tall. And he went like this. Of course, his Vyasa was bigger. And he said, and there will be no water. They will only drink blood. So Prabhupada said, therefore, please chant very seriously and get out before this happens. Get out. Get out of this material world. And the best way to get out is to help others. Just like people are blaspheming devotees and blaspheming God, and we're trying to help them understand the gravity of their unfortunate situation. Of course, here we see people, they're pilgrims, so we may think, they're nice. They are nice. But what are they actually, what are 99.9% of those people doing in the temple? Please give me this. Otherwise, making Krishna, they're trying to make Krishna their order supplier. That's what do the people go to the temple for? They're all begging, help me this, do this, help my father, help my uncle, help my business. And just like business people, they want us to come to their office and do a puja. Not so to honor Krishna, but make my business go better. Bless my car, bless my house. So this is pious. Prabhupada said pious is good, but pious is not enough. Because Lord Nrsimhadev told Prahlad Maharaj, I'm going to make you king. You don't want anything from me. I'm going to make you king of the Daityas. And you will perform many austerities to get rid of your sinful activities. And I will give you facility to enjoy unlimitedly, to destroy your pious activities. Otherwise, pious activities also bind us to this world. Pious or impious. We don't want either one. We want akarma. We want Krishna bhakti. There's no pious or impious. It's supremely pious. But it doesn't fall in the category of pious or impious of this world. The 11th canto speaks about 7 verses speaking about how good and bad, this duality has no meaning. For a devotee, it has no meaning. There is no good or bad. There is only Krishna consciousness, which is supremely good. And it's very bad for people's material desires. It destroys their material. It's unfortunate for them and their desires. So anyway, I just wanted to mention this, and the way we can also perform Sankirtan is to serve the Vaishnavas. Every Vaishnava, Kalidas, we have the story of Kalidas. He wanted to serve, his goal was to serve, take remnants of every Vaishnava in Navadvip. And Madhya, when he met Lord Nityananda and he begged for his mercy, he said, "What can I do, my Lord?" He said, "You have received the mercy of my Lord. Everything is finished. You're blessed." He said, "But I still feel so bad." He said, "Then build a ghat. And that way all the Vaishnavas who bathe there, you will get the credit." But he was so sincere that he stood on the last step, and every Vaishnava that came, he offered obeisances. So this is how seriously we should take serving the Vaishnava. That you just, really in your heart want to serve them. And even if someone doesn't have a very good standard, the best way to serve them is to give a good example. Perform your devotional service in such a way that you inspire them. The whole purpose of competition in Krishna consciousness is to inspire other devotees, not to take the credit. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us that. He never wanted to take the credit. Krishna never wanted to take the credit. And so we should not want to take the credit. We should want to inspire other devotees. Just like even if the devotee is very angry or frustrated, what I always recommend, you get some Mahaprasadam, you go to their house, you say, "Prabhu, we haven't seen you for so long. Here's some Mahaprasad, please come, we're missing your association." And I found when I've done that, it works. It's not a technique. It has to be a sincere desire from the heart that this devotee has somehow or another has become disillusioned. Let me try to serve him. So that's how deep Vaishnava Seva should be. It should reach into the recesses of our heart and our consciousness. So anyway, I'm sorry I extended myself a little bit there, but I'm very happy to be here and see all of you enthusiastically serving Krishna and surrendering to Krishna more and more. And may Srila Prabhupada bless everyone with unlimited mercy to become part of this Sankirtan Lila, one way or another, directly, indirectly, it doesn't matter. However you can do it. But that is the key to making advancement in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai. Thank you very much. Okay, one question.
The question is in book distribution. हम लोग बुक वितरण के लिए जाते हैं गाँव में, शहरों में, छोटे छोटे कस्बों में, तो वहाँ पे जाते हैं तो डिफरेंट इंडिया में वो अलग अलग संप्रदाय तो नहीं करेंगे, धर्म के लोग होते हैं या पार्टी के लोग होते हैं, और आज का जो यंग प्रोग्राम है उनको कैसे फेस करें हम बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन के प्रति। विविध प्रकार के क्वेश्चन आते हैं, वो अलग अलग छोटे छोटे राजनीतिक दल होते हैं, संप्रदाय होते हैं, इस तरह का लोग उनके साथ वो बिल्कुल बुक तो लेना दूर, और अपडेट करते हैं हमारे साथ, तो वो किस प्रकार फेस करें? हरे कृष्ण। Hare Krishna. Prabhu asked that when we do book distribution, especially in India and in villages, and we face that many other sects are there, other sampradayas are there, or the people of village are involved or attached with those particular sampradayas, or some are politically powerful, and we have to, they many times blaspheme us, or don't listen, don't want to take anything, or don't even give response. At that time, how can we face such a situation?
Srila Prabhupada said we have to have faith in these books. Srila Prabhupada glorifies all the sampradayas. Of course, maybe the Shankaracharya group may not get so glorified by the books. But even in the 5th canto, 552, Srila Prabhupada says, all sadhus, those who believe in the personal or impersonal philosophy. So we have to have faith that these books can touch people's hearts. Just like we have a nicer relationship with the Pandas here. In Tirupati, I've seen what they do. They go up to the Tirupati temple, they have a book table. One time I went with them, and the difficulty in the Sankirtan was to be able to give out the books quick enough. Everybody wanted to take a book because they're coming to the mandir, so we should try to get permission to have a table right in a key area near the temple. And I used a technique, not similar technique, a little trickier. One marathon, I was competing with another devotee, and it was like 10 minutes before, about half an hour before midnight on 31 December. So I only had 30 more minutes, and he was ahead of me. So I saw people coming out of a church, and so I went to the church, and I said, people coming out, I asked somebody, what is the name of the priest here? He gave me the name. And so I said to everybody, Father so-and-so, he wants you to have this book. And everybody took a book. And that's how I almost won the marathon. I had to deal with some drunks later on to win. But then the last person that came out, I said, Father so-and-so wants you to have this book. He said, he does? Yes. I said, that's me, I'm Father so-and-so. And I said, oh, okay, well, I'd still like you to have the book. He said, no, anybody who does this, you're very intelligent, give me the book. And he gave me the biggest donation.